Having all of the experiences has just been such an important part of my growth. And with those experiences, I've had many mentors, and all of the mentors, the coaches, just the different athletes, coworkers, friends, family along the way, they've helped me become such a well-rounded person. Like, I want to change the world. I want the world to see individuals with disabilities as an individual. A disability doesn't define someone, it's just part of someone.
Do you remember your thoughts and feelings in that first session? What were those aha moments for you?
When I went to that first practice, I was obviously very nervous. I didn't know anybody there. And with that nervousness came some fear, because I was going outside of my comfort zone, and I was going to be learning about a sport I didn't know anything about. I was coming from a very confident level of having success in track and field, and then now they wanted me to try this other sport called goalball. And I was very, very nervous, because part of goalball is that everyone must play with eye shades on. And these eye shades are completely blackened out, so there's an equal playing field. So for the past 15 years, I've been always told, use your vision, use your vision, use your vision. Now I'm gonna go play a sport where it's gonna take it away from me? I really had a hard time wrapping my brain around that concept. And so that scared me. Because if you were to ask me when I was 15 years old, could you handle losing your vision? I would have said absolutely not. Kind of part of my transformation, part of my identity was not accepting this whole blindness, the total blindness. And once I got in the door and I started to meet these individuals and started to learn more about them, you know, not only their name, but I learned that some of these folks were teachers. They were information technology specialists. They were lawyers. They were moms. They were dads. They were all different people. And that was the first, like, whoa, okay, this is amazing to me. I had not met very many people with severe vision loss or blindness. So this was a big eye-opening moment too, of holy cow, I never thought about any of these things. I was identifying with these individuals, and I saw this normalcy. They were just like your eye sitting here. They just couldn't see. And then the next step, after meeting all these individuals, I started to learn about goalball. And there's that next step. They gave me these eye shades, totally blackened out. They explained to me that the court is totally tactual, so it's safe. Well, in my brain, I'm like, this is not safe. You want me to throw myself in front of a ball? I was like, oh. I said, you might, I was definitely very hesitant. Some individuals that were there, some players, other athletes were like, let's just get you on the court. Let's get you comfortable. I'm like, comfortable? In my head, I'm going, comfortable? Who's comfortable? They encouraged me to get out there. I put on those eye shades, and I was like, this is no joke. It really is dark in here. And it scared me. The first practice, I was petrified. And I was able to make a couple blocks, and I'd get up and throw, and I didn't really know where I was throwing, but I got it. I liked the idea of the sport. I liked the competitiveness of the sport, but it scared me to be under blindfold. After a few practices, I started to kind of wrap my hands around that idea and realize that being under blindfold isn't that scary. And then as I met other people, that fear of losing vision, it went away. I realized that, and that took several years. That comfort with if I were to go blind, I could handle it, took a very long time. But if you were to ask me now, am I scared of going blind? I'd say absolutely not. It was life-changing. The sport has changed who I am, but the people in the sport have changed who I am. They helped me work through so many pieces of growing up, being a teenager, going to college, just kind of figuring out who I wanted to be, what I wanted to major in college even, just the different pieces, So I am very thankful for those experiences and opportunities.
What does community look like for you in any context?
I think community is like a support system. It's a group of individuals that they have something in common, and that commonness brings them together. I think community is is important to anybody, be it where you live, your community, your neighborhood could be a community, your workplace is a community. So it's also something that kind of evolves and it changes, maybe based on where you are or who you're with. But a community to me is so important to have in any facet of your life that you feel like it's important.
What would your story look like without community?
If I didn't have a community, I don't think I would be where I am today. I don't think I would be as confident. I don't think I would have had as many opportunities, which have led to experiences, to networking, to meeting so many amazing people. I just wouldn't be the person I am today because all those different communities that I've been a part of and am still a part of continue to help me be the person I am. So community is inclusive, and I want it to be inclusive. With a community, there are no criteria, requirements, formulas even. It's just a group of individuals who have something in common.
What do you think is important for individuals to know about how they can create those kinds of healthy communities?
I think individuals should just know that they just need to communicate. Just go out there and start conversations. Don't be afraid to talk to people, engage people, any people. And that's how you find what you have in common with someone, is by engaging them and communicating with them.
What do you think needs to be different in our society for people with invisible disabilities to feel supported?
I think there just needs to be more education in the world today about all disabilities, but specifically invisible disabilities. So every disability has a spectrum, and just educating our children to our adults about those disabilities and how there is a spectrum. It's not just you can walk or you can't walk. You can see or you can't see. Just educating more, making it more part of the curriculum of everyday life. Employers taking the time to do disability awareness training, disability culture training even. Just taking that extra time to educate. So be it in the professional world, the education world, and across the board.
Have you experienced that nuance yourself? Directly?
The invisible.
Yeah, like the shock and like just the nuance. I mean, is that something that you've experienced directly?
Yes, I've had many experiences as someone with a invisible disability at times. So when I am in a very familiar environment, I don't really use any accommodations. But when I'm in unfamiliar environments, I will use a white cane to keep myself safe. As my vision deteriorates, I have had to wrap my identity around that I will need to use a white cane more often because my vision is deteriorating. But in familiar environments, I have been in so many situations where individuals have said, I may have said, I need assistance with this because of this. And individuals have responded with, there's no way that you're blind. There's no way. That they want to argue with me about my disability. And it's difficult because I'm not going to argue back. But they want to argue it. I'm going to educate them. I've also been in settings, especially different stores, where I'll be wearing a pair of sunglasses because it's very bright. And individuals have said to me just random comments of, are you trying to be a rock star? And I'll say, oh, no, I'm not. I actually need these to see better. And they're just like, oh, sure you do. I want people to know, don't assume. Just either ask a question or have a conversation. You could take that conversation about me wearing sunglasses and go, hey, those are really cool sunglasses. And I would just respond with, yeah, they're great. They're something I received as a Paralympic athlete, and they really helped me to see better. So I want to respond in a really non-confrontational way and non-insulting way to help other people learn and to educate them, to have a conversation instead of just immediately going for a confrontational or a accusatory type of comment, because it's not necessary and it is hurtful. But I have some really thick skin, and again, I feel like education is the key to success.